Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Housing Resource Catalog presentation. I am Daniel Archuleta, and this is, we're hosting DMCI, Denver Metro Community Impact, is pleased to host this presentation of resources by our partner, Enterprise Community Partners, and Naomi Parnes. And Naomi, I believe you are the Senior Program Associate at Enterprise Community Partners.
Correct.
I will hand off things to you and take it away.
You nailed it. Well, thank you so much, Daniel and DMCI, for having me. I'm super excited to meet all of you. And yeah, if there's time at the end, I will leave it open for more discussion and chatting and questions. So yeah, I'm Naomi Parnes. I'm with Enterprise Community Partners, and I'm really excited to talk to you about the Housing Resource Catalog today. Can everyone see my thing? Okay. We worked hard in our tech run through to make sure that that I could see all of you and you guys could see my thing too. So if you would like, we could do introductions really quickly, because I would love for this not to be the last conversation that we have in connecting and collaborating. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'll just introduce myself and then we can go around, since it's a smaller group and we have the full hour, or we could do these at the end, Daniel, if you want to wait, like if you think more people will join, we could do intros at the end. But irregardless, I'm Naomi Sixxkiller Parnes. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I work for Enterprise Community Partners since early this year, so right before everything went remote. And we're an affordable housing national nonprofit, but I'm based here in Denver in the Denver market office. And like Daniel said, I'm senior program associate, so I'm mostly a support role for my awesome teammates like Katie, who's here. And one of my favorite parts of my job is when I get to do things like this and present resources to partners who are doing great work out in the community. Daniel, what do you think? Should we just do everyone's introductions really quick right now?
I think so. It'll give people a few more minutes to come in. And
Yeah.
I can go. I am Daniel Archuleta again. I'm the Associate Director at Denver Metro Community Impact. For those of you who don't know, we were formerly Park Hill Collective Impact, and we just made the changeover. You'll also see some more exciting changes coming from us in the next year. I go by he, him, and the organization I've already said, the type of work that's done there, stay tuned. We're collective impact, we're community impact. And the role that I play, I oversee in the next year, we'll be overseeing directly the work of action and voice. So this is a resource today, bringing you all together for our partners. And we want to host more and more of these events, because what I've found is that information dissemination is the key to all of our work. So if any of you in your organization have big resources like this, information that you need to share, please leverage your friendship and partnership relationship with us, and we will make sure that we do what we can by our neighbors and our communities. Who's next? Ty, why don't you go ahead?
My name is Ty Hubbard. I am the co-founder and managing broker for the Hollering Group. We are, I guess, part of the ownership team with the Park Hill Golf Course with Westside Development Partners. Also here in the capacity of Sisters of Color, we're looking for some land with them right now, and housing is obviously a part of that as well. So we're trying to be we're social impact sort of real estate company. So trying to show people that it can be done a little differently. You can still make money and help people. It's possible. So just here to see what I can learn and what we can gather, and hopefully make some relationships, some collaborations where we can keep this thing moving.
Yes, awesome. Good to be here.
I can go next. Sorry about that. I'm Katie McKenna. I'm also from Enterprise Community Partners, working with Naomi, and so appreciative of both her and Denver Metro Collective Impact for helping us get the word out about housing resources that exist.
Hello, my name is...
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tony Gomez, and I am a partial resident.
And I'll go next. My name is Daniela Hernandez. Pronouns are she, her, and hers. I work with the Denver Opportunity Youth Initiative that's housed out of the Denver Chamber of Commerce. And we help connect disconnected youth 14 to 24 to education and workforce.
Nice.
And the role I play here is really helping coordinate all the work that's happening. So I'm happy to connect as well.
Thanks for being here.
I could go. My name is Catalina Garcia. She, her, hers, they, them, theirs. Organization is Denver Metro Community Impact. I work with Daniel. I'm the person that was bugging you with all the emails.
Oh, you weren't bugging me. Thanks.
That was
Nice to meet you.
I'll go next. I'm Kelly Kyle. I use she, her pronouns. I work for Councilwoman Robin Kinich in the Denver City Council. She's an at-large city councilwoman who represents the entire city of Denver. We do a lot of work, but one of our big focus is affordable housing and homelessness solutions. So happy to be here, and I'm happy to connect with all of you. I'm going to keep my camera off because I'm not camera presentable.
Camera ready. Thanks for being here.
Hi, I'll go next. I'm Leslie Williams. I'm with the, my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm with the Denver Public Library Pauline Robinson branch, which is like right next door to the DMCI. And I also live in the neighborhood, and I am here to just learn more. So when customers ask us, I'll have some information for them. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for being here. I can't see if there's anyone else. I think there are more.
I'll go next. My name is Celia Leal. My pronoun is she, her, hers. I'm with Denver Human Services. I'm an outreach case coordinator. And the role I'm playing currently right now is with the general assistance. So helping individuals with either their mortgage, rent, eviction, first month's rent, deposit, so on and so forth, specifically with the Community Outreach Resource Engagement Division.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
And I think that's everybody who's joining us.
That's everyone I can see. So I was like, I'm not sure. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for introducing yourselves. It's super nice to meet you all virtually. And yeah, I'm happy when it's a group small enough that we can do introductions, because it's always interesting to learn about who is interested in using the catalog, because there are so many people that can find it useful in different roles. Getting ahead. So moving on, just briefly what you can expect. This is a pretty short presentation, and then I'm going to jump into the catalog itself and hands-on show you some things. And then we can have time for question and feedback at the end. So first I'll tell you what the Housing Resource Catalog is, who it's for, why we created it, and then we'll jump into the catalog and how to use it, and then feedback at the end. So what is the Housing Resource Catalog? It's not something I literally create. I didn't create all the resources in it, but it's more something I've compiled that is supposed to just be all of the various resources pertaining to housing stability that we know there are many things that go into that. So there's different sections that have to do with different types of resources that could be relevant to someone struggling with housing instability. And it's created for the Denver metro area. So it's pretty comprehensive for where most of you are working, I would say. And then I just want to acknowledge that Enterprise is committing to ongoing and consistent updating of the catalog, and that's my role. And I'm also here as a resource and contact if you all want to reach out and you have a question or you have an issue. I'm here for that, and then I'm here to do ongoing edits to the catalog, and then just acknowledging that we know that there will always be gaps and always be things to fill in, so just acknowledging that. So who's the catalog for? So it's created literally for all of you. I say service providers, and I say that pretty generally. I mean, when I say service providers, I mean nonprofit staff, organizers in the community. It could be a volunteer or a resident themselves who's, just volunteering to help in their community. Basically, anyone who is helping members of their community with housing instability issues. So it is written and geared towards service providers who are helping clients. It's not to say that an individual couldn't use it for their own use, but just know that it's framed towards service providers. So that is why I'm talking to all of you, because I would love to get your feedback on how I can just make it better and easier for all of you to use. So why create it? So basically, we know that lots of people are focusing on housing stability and instability issues, eviction prevention, homelessness prevention. There's lots of ways to put it, but we know that there's a huge need for it. In Denver in general, there already was, and then now with this year and the pandemic, we know that lots of orgs are pivoting to focus on that, even if it's not necessarily what their org normally does. So a big part of the housing resource catalog was that I wanted to create something that would be accessibly written and easy for anyone to navigate. You don't have to be an affordable housing expert. You don't have to have worked in the industry or even be at an org that specifically always does that work. The idea is that anyone could pick it up and hopefully it's accessible for you to use. So that was a big, important part of it for me. And then this is just briefly talking about how it works, and then I will jump into the catalog and it will make much more sense than it does on this slide. But just briefly, there are 8 sections and they're divided up by the type of resource. So if you're familiar with Excel, it's different sheets. You go to each sheet to look for a certain type of resource. So they're listed here on this slide, and I'll just explain a couple that aren't self-explanatory. So for example, the legal assistance section has to do with eviction prevention resources, not legal resources for other types of needs. It's specific to housing. The weatherization, that has to do with upgrades and repairs to things like a water heater or something in a resident's house that would help their Excel bill go down. So that would help them with their bills ongoing. Yeah, and I feel like the rest are pretty self-explanatory, so I'll just leave it at that. And then what I've tried to include in the catalog is just anything that would be helpful that you could just jump to. So I've included links to any applications that would be relevant, brochures with more information. I have a column for eligibility. I've pulled out, contact information, language justice access, different barriers and things that I've thought of. And a lot of them have come from the people I presented to, giving me great suggestions of what would be helpful to add. So as we're going in, if you think of one that's missing, or if you think of one later, definitely would love to incorporate that. And then this last piece I'll say before we jump in is if you're familiar with Excel, and I can show you all how to do this, there's a find and sort tool that you can custom sort each sheet. So you can search each sheet by any factor that you were trying to help a client with. So, if you were working with someone who's undocumented, you could pull up all of the resources that would work for them on that sheet. But that being said, none of the lists are extremely long. So it's not like it's that difficult to just go through them, but that is an option to sort it if that's easier for you. And yeah, just the idea is to have it all in one place, have it easy. You don't have to look for anything, or you don't have to spend a bunch of time recommending a resource and helping a client with a resource, and then it turns out they're not eligible for it after you've done all this work, which can be really discouraging. So the idea is that it's just all right there for you. So with that, I am going to jump into the catalog. I'm going to do full screen, so I'm not going to be able to see you all for just this moment, but then I'll come back. Can you all still see my screen?
Yes, we can still see your screen.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure. Awesome. So this is the catalog, and this is
wait. We can still see your presentation. How does it work?
Oh,
you'll need to go back to the presenting and then select your desktop.
Got it.
or select the window.
Okay, hold please. Okay, now you all can see. Can you see the catalog?
Yes.
Awesome. Yay. Technology success. That's the hardest part. Okay, awesome. Well, here is the catalog. So this is the first section that I have in it. This is just the little intro section that explains a little bit about it. The first section, I'll just jump right in. It's legal assistance. So these are eviction prevention resources, and you can see, I'll try and go slow, but you can see that it's in list format. So here on the left side are all of the orgs that are free or for low income utilization for eviction prevention legal services. So it goes down. This is warranty of habitability information. It's not exactly a legal resource, but it fit best in this category. So you can see the list goes down, and then I'm going to jump back up to the top and just go across and show you how it looks. So here we have contact information. This is all the best information about how to call, whether they're doing walk-ins, how to make an appointment, anything like that. And then I have an application section. You can just jump right into this intake form. I'm going to click on it just to show you. So here's the intake form. Jump right to that. And then I've got the website. I've got a brochure with different information. If you go further over, I've got my language access column. This explains the language justice that the resource specifically provides. I don't have this whole catalog translated right now, unfortunately, but I do have this language access section for each resource. So hopefully that is helpful. And definitely a big need for more of that as I'm going through resources. There is not a ton of language access, unfortunately, and a lot of them. And then here's the eligibility column, and that just talks about what you need to have or where you need to live, what income you need to have, etc. It'll link to, like I've linked to the chart here that shows you what income would qualify. So anything you would need to just see if someone qualified should be right here. Nothing in miscellaneous there. But then if we go over, watch, this isn't going to be a good example. There's not very many filled in, but these are all my barriers that I pulled out. So if it's blank, it's a no. Or for county, if it's blank, it means it's not county specific. So that would be statewide. So you can look over here and see any of these barriers. If there's a yes, then you know that barrier is in effect for that resource. So, you can see, do you need an ID to access this? Do you need a lease? Does it have to be COVID related? Do you have to be documented? Do you need to prove your income? We've got another one about language. The technology access one is kind of silly because honestly, you need technology for pretty much all of these in some form or another. Like even if you mail something in, you need a printer. So that one is sort of a moot point, but it is in there. And then that one's also sort of subjective, but some of them had lots of steps. So if there was lots of back and forth steps and follow-up, I denoted it was more complex. And so we've got all the way over here. This should be the last one. So if you have to pay anything towards it or have to be current on any bills before you can get the service, this would not refer to county. Population specific would be more like you are have to be a senior or disability. So that's pulled out there. And then if you keep going, you'll see that the next list is set up pretty much the same way. And this one's just for rental assistance, as it denotes on the bottom. And then the other one I wanted to show you before I open it up for more questions. And feel free during the questions, if you want me to go back in here and show you something else, I'm happy to do that. But the main basic ones I wanted to show you in here, this is my affordable rentals section. So this one looks a little different because it was a pretty big undertaking to think about creating a comprehensive list for all the affordable rental properties in the Denver metro area, and would be almost impossible to keep fully updated. So what I do have is a list of affordable rental properties for Enterprise's target geographies. So that was more relevant for us to create and keep up. So that's for East Colfax Corridor and the 9 West neighborhoods of Denver. So if that's something that would be helpful to any of you for the work that you do, I'm happy to share that list with anyone. But just know that it's a little bit more specific. It's not for the whole Denver metro area, so I didn't include it in this because it was a little too specific. So what this one has is different. These are the different websites and tools that I use to compile my list of affordable properties, and you can really use it to look anywhere in the country. But of course, you could zoom in and just go to any county in Colorado, any area. And this is just some links and instructions on how to use all of these resources. And then they pop up like, I can just show you. Oops. So I'll just briefly show you how this would work. So you'd click in and then you can follow the instructions. So this one, you could click find, oh, and they even have a launch tutorial. That's helpful. Find affordable housing opportunities near me. You can see it's already zoomed in because I've used it before. So it's already sort of zoomed into Denver area. But, let's say you wanted to look way more specifically, you know that they need to live in a certain school district and they want to live by a park. I don't know, I'm making this up, but you can click on that property. The different colors are showing different types of properties. So this is a really great tool. It's, this is showing you that it's a tax credit property. It gives you the address. It gives you some contact information. This one even talks to you about how many bedroom units they have, or how many different units with different sizes units they have for affordable units. So this is really helpful. Yeah, and then the other tools are basically similar. This one I would say is probably the best one as far as clunkiness using it. And then at the bottom here, I have put a little bit of tips about wait lists that are just helpful for generally when you're putting yourself on a wait list for affordable rental property, because unfortunately, a lot of them have long wait lists or don't have vacancies very often. So that's the only section that really looks different. The rest of them are pretty much set up the same way. That one I still have to fill in. So yeah, with that, I would love, I'm going to jump back to all of you so I can see all of you. And I'll just keep sharing in case anyone wants me to jump back into the catalog, but I would love to open it up for feedback now. If anyone has anything, if anyone has any questions, if anyone else wants to see another example, I am all ears and all yours. So. Not everyone all at once.
I guess I can start and share a personal work, that work that I do with the youth. So I really love that it's all in one, but can you maybe walk me through, for example, I had a youth reached out and they said, I live in the 80239 zip code, what resources are out there? And I kind of just really straight up Googled anything that I could find, and it was super hard. So if you could maybe walk me through, how would you do that using your resource guide?
Yeah, totally. So that actually gives me another good point that maybe zip code could be, it's not one that I have pulled out in its own column, but that could be helpful for some of these. So I'm gonna write it down. Yeah, because I realize now that if someone asked via the zip code, you couldn't exactly search for that. So that's a really good feedback. Do you know what sort of resources that youth was looking for specifically, or were they just looking for general
They were looking for like rental assistance. Like they
Rental
said, hey, I lost my job. I can't afford like next month. Can you help me out?
I see. Okay. So yeah, so I would go into the rental assistance tab here. And then I guess I would want to know a little bit more about their situation. So they want to live in that zip code, but maybe it would be helpful to look over here at some of these barriers. So I do have the county pulled out, but thinking about what you know about your client that you're wanting to help, do they have an ID? Do they have a bank account? Do they have access to technology? Anything like that? And then if you know that they did or didn't, that could help you determine which one of these would be the best fit for them. But for rental assistance, let's see. So yeah, I suppose you could start by Googling, since I don't have the zip code pulled out, you could Google what county that is, and I don't know off the top of my head. I feel like it's Denver. But if it was in Denver County, then you could go over here and look at the county and say, okay, this one would work for him because it's for Denver City and County. This one has no county specific, so it means that it's any county in Colorado, so this one would work for him, or I don't know their pronouns. And then this one is a good example. This one's in yellow because it's just closed right now. So you would know that this one isn't eligible right now. Sorry, my dog is barking. She's passionate about resource delivery.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go for it.
So if you don't have zip code, but you do have county, oh no, leave it on the page. Leave it on the page.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
if you don't have zip code, but you do have county, to Daniela's point, if she's working with a client, and maybe let's do a what if scenario. Let's say that they're an undocumented person or family who doesn't have ID, living in Denver County.
Okay.
Can you give us an example of how we could use, and they're looking for rental assistance, how do we use this tab given those limitations?
Sure. So let's go over here and we'll look at ID and documented. So let's just start at the top instead of using the find and sort because I like this example. So we're in rental assistance. We know we're in the rental assistance tab, and then we're looking at ID and documented. So this one, you do need an ID, but you don't have to be documented. So moving on. This one, it looks like would work. You don't have to be documented and you don't need an ID. Okay, that was a short mystery. So it looks like Division of Housing would be the best resource, but then let's just keep going in case there's another hang up. Because a lot of these, the documented and the ID, at least one of them is a yes, if not both, unfortunately. So I do actually want to see if there's another one that you could use. It looks like this one you would be able to use. Jewish Family Services, that one is pretty limited, but it looks like you would be able to use it. Like they don't require an ID or that you're proof of documentation. This one does require an ID. This one requires both. Yes to an ID. This is another one that looks like you would be able to use, but it is closed right now. God, so many barriers.
And Naomi, the question came from Celia. For clarification, if there is something that has a blank as far as requirements, it means client does not need that requirement, correct?
Correct. Yes, that's correct. So if the barrier column is left blank, that means it's not required. So I've only filled it in if it's a yes. Yeah, so that's a great question. And I'd love to hear feedback if you all think that that's confusing. Like if you feel like I should put in the no's. I just kind of thought it was easier personally for your eyes to travel down and see like what was checked and what wasn't. Or we could experiment with like color coding, like green and red instead of yes or no. But yeah, I would love to hear anyone's thoughts on that.
Something like unrelated. How often are you like updating the list? Because I know when I was helping this youth, I ended up calling a lot of the organizations and they're like, oh, sorry, there's a wait list. That's like 50 plus people, or like, this is closed. Like, go to the next list.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these are overcapacitated. So as far as updating, I'm pretty much ongoing. It's part of my weekly workflow, so I'm working on it all the time right now. And right now I'm just working to get it to a point where it's more finished and more complete. But ultimately I will just be checking on it regularly to keep things updated and current. So right now I'm sort of just doing that as I go, pretty regularly, but not like at a set time, because it's still just in its foundational phase. But that's a good point for ongoing, how often I would update it. I think it's something I'm going to be having eyes on pretty constantly in my work, so in order to keep it current.
I think in the past when you had presented it to me, for some of those nuances, those might even show up under that miscellaneous column or something.
Correct. Yeah. And that's part of, Daniela, that's a good point, that I can mention, that I am working on reaching out to all of the orgs on the list, to make a connection with a staff person at each of those orgs so that, I can ask questions, so that I can have a comrade there, and then I can, understand the nuance of the services that they deliver a little better, because yeah, there are things that on a website, it just doesn't tell you how long the wait is or how long something takes. But I have tried to pull that out as much as I can. And once I've talked to the orgs, I have put in things like in the miscellaneous, that's a good point, Daniel. Things like takes 3 to 4 weeks to turn around an application, or know that if you haven't heard back within a week, you should follow up, So tips like that I've tried to put, probably would be in the miscellaneous or would be in the eligibility category. And I've tried to make that as clear as possible, but it is getting pretty detailed. Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Naomi, Leslie had a few questions in the chat.
Okay,
she
sure.
would like to know, was there an option to search by name, or is the idea to just scroll through the sheets? And Leslie, when you say by name, do you mean the organization's name? Oh, do you want to unmute yourself, Leslie?
Sure.
Yes, thanks, Daniel. I do mean the organization's name, or just, I don't know, like Section 8. Is there a way that you can scroll, just like a keyword?
Yeah.
When we're working at the library, I do keywords, or I do titles, or I do subjects. Sure. And I was just wondering if this was also like that. It doesn't have to be. It was just a question.
Yeah. So you can't really search, but I do kind of know what you're saying. So what you could do is you could sort and filter.
Okay.
And then, so you could sort and filter A to Z, and I believe that would sort it at least alphabetically for you.
Awesome.
So yeah, so that's at least a little better, right? Because then you could go down and go to S, and there's Section 8, and it's closed right now. Dang. But at least, yeah, that's one way you could search. And then that does remind me to show you all this custom sort. So yeah, here you could search by name, but you can drop down here and you can search by anything. So, any of these barriers are pulled out. So if you wanted to pull out everything that was marked with a certain barrier into, the top, and then all your ones that would be without that barrier would be on the bottom. Unfortunately, I wish you could search by multiple levels, because that would be more helpful.
Perfect. This is what I was looking for.
Okay, perfect. So it's that custom find and sort tool. And then the other thing I would say is that none of the lists are super long to go through. So if you're looking at someone who has multiple barriers to consider, even though you can't search for multiple things at once, to pull multiple things out at once, it should be relatively easy to sort of go in there and go through all of them looking at your barriers. I hope, at least.
Hey, Naomi, can you do me a quick favor? I was playing with it before when you sent it to me. Would you mind going back into it and clicking on cell A1, that first top left cell? Name and brief description. Just select it and then go over to the sort and filter option under editing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And hit filter. And now can we play that what if scenario again? Can we go to must be documented and then leave it blank? So deselect yes.
Oh, like this?
Yeah. And then hit OK. And then go under to ID required.
And then do the same thing, eh?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know you could do this. I'm learning.
And now what you have is the list of all of those. And now we could do county specific. You could go through, if you want to go county specific, to do Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see actually county specific is going to be a good example of another way to use something. Do your search, deselect. So deselect, select all, uncheck, select all. And then in your search, just type DEN. So deselect, select all, and then hit. Yep, hit OK. Now it should pull up everything that has Denver in it.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's really smart. So it's looking like it's just this one that's pulling up. And I will say that that makes me think I should probably update my county section, because if it's for statewide, I just leave it blank. But I should probably update that and put in all the counties so that you could search it this way and it would still come up if it was for everyone, but then for Denver as well. Okay, I'll write this down.
You might be able to still do that if it's a null value. I don't know though.
That's true.
Katie also brought up a good point. You should be able to use Control Find or the Find option there, and you can search for a keyword like Section 8, and you could search for that across the entire workbook, I believe, Katie, not even just the worksheets. So if you click the magnifying glass,
yes, I think that's right.
Naomi, if you click the magnifying glass, you should be able to do a search or find.
Is it go to?
No, just a find.
Oh, find, I see.
And under the options, you should be able to select within. So go within.
The whole workbook.
And that will work, Leslie, everything. And Daniela, when you said that there were certain things you were searching for, it should go for everything. And then you just hit find next, and it'll take you to everything that has Section 8 in it across the entire workbook.
Although I will add, Section 8 is not the best example because that's an old name for the program that a lot of us still use. The current name is Housing Choice Vouchers. So that's why Section 8 is not showing up.
Yeah, so that could be, I mean, this is all like super great what you're saying. That could be one downfall to that, and is, if you type it in a different way than it's written. So yeah, so I would still suggest going through the tabs specific to the need you're looking for, just in case if you search something and nothing comes up, just double check the relevant tab just in case it's saved as something different. But this is honestly all really helpful for me to think about how I can improve this. I've written down adding the counties for the blank ones so that that's easier to search, and then adding pulling out a zip code column for relevant sheets I think will be helpful. And then I'm thinking, I'm just thinking of some other things. You guys don't need my whole life story.
And Naomi, I actually do think, and for everybody else on the call can agree or disagree, but let's have a dialogue about it if you disagree. I think that having no in those columns when using the filters would be something that's helpful. And for the counties one, if it's something that is statewide, instead of listing all of the state's counties, maybe just have the option statewide.
Statewide, yeah, that's a good point.
Or all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm writing down either add a separate column for the statewide ones or to just put all instead of the certain counties. Although I do like the idea also of putting the specific counties, because then you could search by a certain county, and then even if it was all counties, it would show up the relevant ones for you. So that's something to think about. But what do you all think are I'd love some feedback on the barriers. Do you all think that it would be helpful to have the no's in there or less confusing? I'm seeing a nod. Yeah, because it would certainly be easy to go in and just put in the no's. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that if that would be helpful.
And Naomi, these kind of tips or questions, I think these are all in no way, at least as far as what I'm putting out there, adding any kind of criticism to this work that you've done. I find this as a fantastic resource. It's just really how the best way to kind of use the information that you've compiled here. I want to hear from others. Do you see this as something that's valuable? Do you see yourself using it? And how do you see yourself using it? And then what more can DMCI do for you as far as resources?
Did he freeze? I think you froze for a second, Daniel, but I think we got most of what you were saying. Yeah, I would love to hear that from you all as well about how you would see yourself using this, if at all. Yeah, and if anyone has feedback later that they want to give me, I'm happy to, jump on the phone or communicate by email. That does remind me my last slide that I wanted to show, which just if you want a screenshot or just get my information from the meeting invite or whatever's clever, reach out to me through Daniel. Definitely feel free to just reach out to me directly. This is all my information. And I would love to keep the conversation going. If you have more questions or you have more concerns. And this is also reminding me of one thing that I forgot to mention, which is how to share the catalog. And so because it can be shared with outside partners, but it's technically in Enterprise's files. So I just have to send someone access via their email. So I will just go ahead and send everyone who was on this call via the meeting invite. I'll just send everyone access after this, and it will come as a separate email, and it will say, hey, I'm trying to share access with you for this link. So just know that the link that I'm sending you is a live link, so it should update as I make updates to it. You're welcome to save it as a hard copy, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because then that won't update once you save that to your desktop. So I would just save the link. And then the other clunky thing about it is that you can't just forward the link to someone. I have to send their email their own link for permission to view it. So I'm happy to give access to anyone who could find it useful. But they just have to reach out to me by email and let me know they want access, or you can just send me their email and request access. And I'm usually pretty good about getting them access within that day. So unless you get like an automatic out of office reply. So yeah, that's one piece that if you want anyone added, I'm happy to add anyone who needs access. Just shoot me an email with their email.
And Naomi, does someone have to have Excel in order to view it?
Yeah, so you would have to have Excel in order to. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Katie, do you know if you can view Excel without having it?
I think you can actually view it in the online version from Microsoft Outlook. So clicking the link, you should be able to use it even if you don't have Excel.
That's really good information to just know. And yeah, no one has editing permission, not because I don't trust all of you to update things, but just because somebody could accidentally delete something. So I think you should be able to just access it. Since you're not trying to edit it, I think even if you don't have Excel, you should be able to pop it up.
All right, any last minute questions, comments? I believe just to synthesize, this resource is free and available to all of you to use just by simply emailing Naomi. She will send you an email link that will give you access to it. Other than that, any last minute comments or questions?
Yeah, and I feel free to just reach out to me later if you think of something later or you're camera shy. No worries. I'm around.
All right, everyone. I want to thank you all for your participation. Spread this news throughout your network. Let them know that this is out there. We are more than happy to facilitate another conversation on this with partners. And I do want to do a plug. Naomi will be back again next week on Monday at 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. for a presentation directly to residents, Denver Metro-wide. So if you know of anyone who has a network they support, if you know of anyone who needs these kinds of resources and is tired of, as Daniela said, Googling it, please send them to our events page. And actually, here it is. It's in the chat. And they will see the event for November 16th. They can register for it. Catalina will send them a barrage of reminders, and then we'll give them. Naomi will present the information again, just like she did here, how to use it, and then through email she will grant them individual access to it as well. All right. So I can't help but, and it's also on our Facebook. So share. If you've seen our Facebook post on this event coming up, share it with your network.
And Daniel, are you going to record it on Monday as well? And post it? Cool. So then, you can always share it with people who can't make it that way as well.
Daniel, really quick, I'm sorry. That's
fine.
Again for Denver County residents only or for anybody?
The catalog? So it's for Denver metro area. So yeah, so there's more than just Denver County, although there's some resources on there that are Denver County specific, but that will be denoted in the county section. And then some of them are statewide, just because they also cover Denver metro area, but it's not comprehensive for all statewide resources.
And for the November 16 for the residents, that's only for Denver County as well?
Denver Metro.
Or Denver Metro? Okay, perfect.
Denver
Thank
Metro.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Naomi, thank you.
Thank you.
For all of your work in all of this, not just for today. And we will see you again on Monday.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thanks for having me, and nice to meet all of you. And don't feel free to reach out. Bye, everyone.
Bye.